When your face matches the intention behind your words, jurors can relax. Welcome to the Foster Your Voice podcast with me, Christy Foster. After a 30-year career in music and theater, I never imagined I'd be coaching trial attorneys. But once I entered your world, I quickly realized how critical and underutilized voice is in the courtroom. The truth is, you don't win trials with brute strength. You win with your voice. I'll give you tools to unlock your voice so you can communicate not just with purpose, but on purpose. If you want quick action tips to help you stay calm and in control, keep jurors engaged, and inspire your listeners to action, all through the power of your voice, you're in the right place. I'm Christy Foster, and I'm here to help you foster your voice. Hello, Foster fam. I hope you're enjoying this time of year. However your family celebrates the season, there's just something about December that gives us permission to slow down a bit and to just take a different pace. Now, I know as attorneys, your work doesn't ever really stop. And I know you drift towards being a workaholic. Actually, I don't even like to use that word because I think there's some judgment that's infused in there. I just mean that notoriously you work a lot, so it's hard to step away. But my hope is that you will keep your physical and mental health and your well-being in check as a priority. And hopefully you can step away from the working space for a bit so that you can refuel personally. In fact, I didn't mean to segue myself, but it ended up being kind of a great segue into my reminder that this is the time to be thinking about what you want your word of the year to be in 2026. If you've never done a word of the year, I encourage you to give it a try. I personally have just found the practice to be really valuable. I think particularly because my mind gets going too fast and in multiple directions, and my perfectionism kicks in, and I'm tempted to think that I need to be all things for all people all at once, and my anxiety elevates. Oh, having a single word that serves as my kind of umbrella covering for the year helps me set my intentions, and it's been really grounding. In 2024, my word was reclaim. I actually set the word in December of 2023 without really knowing why. And then shortly into that new year, I had a major shift in my work that allowed me to reclaim my time, energy, focus, and emotional output. So reclaim became the lens that I saw my whole year through. In 2025, my word was consistency. And I actually have a whole podcast about how one word can make a difference. It's all the way back at episode number 4. But 2025 was my year to establish routines that fueled me and create habits that added value to my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health and well being, and to figure out systems to be able to track, assess, and evaluate my consistent behavior. For 2026, I'm still playing around with a couple of words. There are just a few that are kind of swirling around in my psyche that surface occasionally, and my inner voice says, hey, what about this one? So I'm listening, I'm praying, I'm staying mindful. I'll settle on one. Now, to choose a word for the year, it really can just be as easy as declaring whatever came to top of mind as a theme that you want to adopt. If you want to treat it like an exercise and go a little deeper, here are some ways to lean in a little harder into this practice. Start by reflecting on your goals, your values, and your feelings. Write down what went well and what you would like to change. Think about what matters most to you and what you would like to contribute. Ask yourself what kind of energy, feeling, or character traits you want to bring into your life. And then brainstorm a list that captures those things. Now, start narrowing down your list by considering which word is most motivating, most resonates with you, and is broad enough to apply to different areas of your life, be it finances or working out or healthy lifestyle. You might want to research the definitions of some words on your list just to understand their nuances. Spend some time imagining how living with that word would feel and how it would influence your decisions. You want to choose a word that's going to be motivating and uplifting. And don't make it a rigid goal that can be failed. We don't want this just to be another resolution. This is a theme for your life. And then finally, trust your instincts. Choose a word that feels most right and empowering for you personally at this particular season of your life. Then commit to it. Say it out loud, kind of like a declaration. Write it down and put it where you can see it daily. You want this to be a guide and a reminder throughout the year. Your word of the year will kind of serve as a sort of litmus test when you're making choices or during challenging moments to help you stay focused and intentional. So keep it in view. Now, we've got a few weeks left to be thinking on this, and I'll let you know which word I've selected in my first episode of season 2, which will come out on January 5th. So be sure to come back to listen to that podcast episode. So let's plan to have our word all sorted out by then and declared over us. I can't wait to hear what you come up with. Hey, real quick, if your jurors look confused when you say liability, standard of care, or damages, they're not tuning out because they don't care. They're tuning out because they don't speak law. I've put together a free guide called Top 20 Legal Terms to Avoid and What to Say Instead. It'll help you simplify your language without losing credibility, so your message actually lands. Download it now at fostervoicestudio.com/top20 or click the link in the show notes. All right, back to the episode. On this podcast, I spend a lot of time on vocal development. It's probably the least talked about aspect of strategic legal communication. And every time I speak at a conference, I'm swarmed by folks afterwards who confirm what I already knew. Why have we never heard about this before? Gosh, I wish I learned this in law school. No, this makes perfect sense. I wish I'd learned it 15 years ago, but I'm excited to learn about it now. So I'm going to keep preaching the value of dedicated vocal development work, expanding your range through the 5 vocal building blocks you've heard me talk about before: pitch, pace, melody, volume, and tone. All of that is important, but vocal technique is only one slice of your presence puzzle. So today I want to just zoom out a little bit. In truth, voice may be the most underutilized tool in your communication toolbox, but it's just one of the tools. When it comes to your communication package, there's voice, face, body, and breath. Today, I want to talk about your face. I mean, you've got such a great face, and it's worth paying a little bit more attention to. Because when your voice says one thing, but your face tells a different story, guess which one jurors believe? The face. They'll believe your face. Now, there are 43 muscles in the face used for functional movements like chewing, but also for expression. 43. That feels like a lot to me. Left to themselves, though, without any intention or strategy, those muscles might create expressions that don't represent the truth of what you're actually feeling. And of course, that leads to miscommunication and misperceptions. Humans are biologically wired to detect micro shifts in facial expressions. It's how we've survived socially for thousands of years. Have you heard of RBF? You probably have. It's resting bitch face. Since 2013, when Funny or Die sketch video went viral, we've had this term to address this unintentional facial expression that makes someone look angry or judgy, even when the person is just zoning out and thinking nothing at all. RBF is caused by a combo of genetics, facial structure, aging. Great, love that. And then from muscle memory, from habits and habitual expressions. Your natural inherited bone structure, like if you have a lower brow or deep set eyes, and unfortunately, your age play into your potential RBF, just because your skin loses elasticity as you age. So, features that might already be prone to being downturned become accentuated. Now, none of this is destiny. It just means that some of us need a little more conscious effort of what our face does when it's on autopilot. Now, something you can be mindful of are your habitual expressions. I've talked about your thinking face before and how it's not uncommon to think with your face, a furrowed brow, narrow eyes, but also keep in mind how your face is involved in managing or mismanaging your stress and anxiety. Repeated use of certain facial muscles, like consistently frowning because of stress, or even just not frowning, but you're simply not doing much smiling. These habits can become ingrained and influence your resting posture over time. Okay, so I've got RBF, Christy. Now what? And more importantly, what does it mean for jurors, witnesses, clients, and the judge who's watching me? Great questions. So I'm bringing this up because, especially in your legal relationships and your encounters, your face is always communicating, even when you're not speaking. The micro expressions that you've developed as a habit, even if they're brief, involuntary facial cues, they can reveal your tension, frustration, or boredom. Even if you're not tense, frustrated, or bored. Jurors pick up on these signals, even subconsciously, which can affect how they perceive your credibility and how much permission they give you to lead them to a verdict for your client. This is an area you can and should learn to control and shape. Your face isn't stuck, but you have to bring your awareness to it and intentionally work at it. I do this all the time too, because my thinking face can get the better of me. So, on my morning walks, walking the aisles of the grocery store, or just sitting in traffic, this is when I practice. First, I just notice what my face is doing. And just a side note, if you're just listening, I recommend that you go back and watch the video of this section, either on my website or on my YouTube channel, so you can see what I'm doing. So, if there's a mirror and it's safe to look, like when I'm in the car, I'll just look and see where my natural features take my expression when I'm zoned out and neutral in my emotions. So, just blank. Then I try isolating movements. So I try lifting just the cheekbones. And I notice what else is connected that moves. How does this feel inside? Okay, when I've lifted just my cheekbones. Then I go back to neutral and I try to create an inner smile. Likely you'll end up getting just a slight grin. Hardly perceptible, but it's there. And just to be clear, an inner smile isn't about performing happiness. It's about signaling openness. It just softens your features without forcing an artificial grin. This expression is what I train to be my new neutral. Slight lift of the cheeks and an inner smile. So, take time to practice a neutral but approachable resting face with relaxed eyebrows, slight upward turn of the corners of your mouth. You have to catch yourself with a frown or pursed lips or a furrowed brow, and then see if you can change it up a little bit. Learn to maintain an open, calm expression that helps make it so that your face supports your words rather than undermining them. And the more you practice in low stakes environments, like the grocery store, like sitting in traffic, the more automatic and trustworthy your facial communication becomes in the high stakes moments. When your face matches the intention behind your words, jurors can relax. They trust you more easily and they stay aligned with your message. Until next time, keep fostering your voice. Thanks for pulling up a seat with me today and for being part of the Foster fam. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, go ahead and leave a review or a comment so I can give you a shout out on a future episode. During the week, you can find me on Instagram at Foster Voice Studio, where I'm dropping little nuggets of vocal technique and leadership wisdom. You can also join my mailing list by visiting fostervoicestudio.com or by clicking the link in the show notes. I'll send a weekly vocal tip every Tuesday directly to your inbox. Until then, keep fostering your voice.